Like the sky, spirit wandering. You make me stand by the ocean. I see everything. It's like the of your motion can make the continents ring. Yet in all your might and glory, from the sky, it's just another story. This means man-made life. It's of how it fell from the sky.
All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the Free American Hour. I'm your host, Clay Douglas, and my guest today is Daniel Leach, and he has started something called the Anti-New World Order Party. Hello, Daniel. How are you?
I'm doing great, Clayton. How are you?
Good, except I can't see you on my blog TV. I don't know what's going on here. I brought you on as a co-host, and I'm not getting any picture here.
Yeah, that's interesting too. I don't see it up on my screen here.
Yeah, I'll remove it, and then I will try to do it one more time here. I'll invite the co-host. Oops, says I cannot invite this user to be a co-host. Yeah, somehow you got to figure out your blog TV there, because every time we've been on blog TV, it's been seems we've had some kind of problem here.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy, right? I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll just refresh it, and then we'll see what happens with that.
All right. Meanwhile, tell me, first of all, what age are you? How old are you there?
I'm 36 years old, sir.
All right. And what made you want to become involved in politics? Much less start a new party. What was wrong? What caused you to get involved? And why didn't you just join? One of the wings of the it's the same, as far as I'm concerned. The Republicans and Democrats are two wings of the same bird, and it's a global vulture. It ain't an eagle.
Yes, I agree with you. They are a vulture, the Republicans and Democrats, and that's basically what motivated me was to start the new party, is realizing that they're both puppet parties controlled by the bankers and the corporations. But what got me involved in politics was early in 2008. I was inspired by Ron Paul, and I was involved in his organization, Campaign for Liberty. And what happened was, I wanted to talk about the New World Order, and that was a topic that people just didn't want to discuss. They didn't want to hear anything about the truth. And it motivated me to really start my own party, because what happened was I was actually kicked out of the organization because I talked about the New World Order.
Which organization were you kicked out of?
Oh, I was kicked out of the Campaign for Liberty. I was kicked out of the 912 group, and I was kicked out of most of the Tea Party organizations because they didn't want to talk about the New World Order. They just wanted to talk about the Republicans and the Democrats, and they didn't want to talk about who was behind the big money.
And I bet you you didn't happen to mention that the Rothschilds were Jews. That'll get you kicked out of just about every organization.
Well, the facts are the facts, and I'm not afraid to speak the truth. If people don't like it, That's their problem. You know, Einstein said condemnation without investigation is the height of ignorance. And to tell you the truth, there's a lot of people that condemn things without even looking into it. And I think it's out of fear.
I've just been going through that, posted updates on that story. I was giving a speech, and the cover of my book here, Mystery Babylon, New World Order Unveiled, talks about 2,000 years ago, the Bible told us that the coming of the New World Order is the eighth beast, the mark of the beast, and warned us about the Jews who say they're Jews but are not. And, you know, that's a quote from the Bible, from Jesus, and yet when in the group I was speaking before, the woman who ran the group said, "Oh, but you just can't use the word Jew or I'll have to get up on stage and interrupt you."
Well, you know, when I've looked into this more exclusively and more extensively, what I've found is that it's not just a Jewish thing. It goes back to the Khazars. And Khazars have influenced the Jewish people in such a negative way that they've given them a bad name. You know, the Bible talks about, in the book of Revelation, says those who call themselves Jews but are not Jews but are of the house of Satan. And I believe that's talking about the Khazars, the Rothschilds, the Red Shield family.
Well, it certainly could have. It certainly could have. You know, 1,500 years ago, they certainly could have. But today, I'm sorry. Let's see. We should talk about Zionists, right? We should talk about. We shouldn't call them Jews. I'm sorry. The Zionists were Jews. The Bolsheviks were Jews. Stalin. I mean Lenin and Trotsky and Karl Marx were Jews. I'm sorry, you know, you can't not use a word. I mean, that's like trying to talk about Mohammed without mentioning Muslims.
Right. No, I agree they're Jews, but you got to be distinctive. There's two different kinds of Jews. There's the Zionist Jews, and then there's more Orthodox Jews. And it's like lumping all Christians together. You know, we need to be very specific about who we're talking about, because, you know, to label all Jews bad, I don't agree.
I don't agree with that, and it's what I've told people. Now look, you know I knew Aaron Russo before they killed him. He was telling me the truth. He happened to be Jewish, you know. Dr. Henry McCow, he puts out really good information. He happens to be Jewish. You know, the chief editor, Gordon Duff of Veterans Today, I write for him. His family is Jewish, you know, and frankly, I don't know who my grandmother slept with, and I damn sure don't know who yours slept with, who your grandparents were messing around with. So, you know, what we're talking about is freedom and liberty, and you got the right to worship any way you want. You want to go beat your head against that wall, Constitution says you can do it, and I won't mess with you. But just don't expect me to beat my head against that wall with you.
Right, I agree. You know, it's good. I think it's good to have differing opinions on certain topics. But yeah, you know, it's definitely it's a hot topic. And, you know, I know everybody's not going to agree. So, anyways, what else is on your mind?
Well, again, your party. Now, how are you going to finance it? How are you going to promote it? And how are you doing so far? Now, the problem, I've been in presidential elections. I have worked with Charles Collins, who was a wealthy businessman who wanted to run for president, did run for president in 1996, first Republican to sign up. And I know the dirty tricks that Republicans played. You know, we'd go in the night before, we'd put up Collins banners beside Dole banners, beside Buchanan banners, and next morning all the Collins signs would be down, and every time Charles Collins got up to tell people we could buy back the Federal Reserve, and we needed to buy back the Federal Reserve, they shut all the cameras down on stage. And so nobody in America knew Charles Collins was running for president. I mean, they've done the same thing to Ron Paul. They've done pretty much the same thing to Chuck Baldwin. They'll do the same thing to Gary Johnson. And Gary Johnson and Ron Paul are the only two Republicans out there that I think are worthy of supporting. But go ahead. What do you do? How are you going to finance this? How are you going to make it work? And
Well, it's a grassroots effort. As far as the financing goes, we donation. If people really believe the cause and get behind it, that's part of the cause as far as the financing. And we also have set up a store on our website, where people can buy different products like health products. There's going to be, banners, bumper stickers, everything that you can imagine that's out there that's for the cause. And as far as getting the word out, our people are already doing that, and it's amazing. We're pretty much we're ending up in a lot of different forums. We have a blog. I just found out on Christmas Eve or Christmas night that we were picked up on a really big website called naturalnews.com by Mike Adams. We wrote a blog about the Marines showing up at the occupied Wall Street, and that was picked up in his blog. So that was pretty much seen by quite a few people. So I think the more we do, the bigger the movement keeps growing. So I only see positive things.
Now, let me ask you about the Tea Parties. I mean, people kind of got a lot of hopes about the Tea Parties, and it was nice to see about a bunch of these, middle-aged people getting out of their lazy boys and getting out on the streets and getting on going down the park for a Tea Party rally. But then we got Sarah Palin talking about war with Iran, and on one of the Tea Party websites, I got kicked off the Tea Party website because the NAACP accused of me of being a bigot, and then I got just today something came across my desk, and one of the people of the Tea Party, and there's a number of them out there, is slamming Ron Paul.
Yeah, these people, they're condemning. Like I said, Einstein said it. Condemnation without investigation is the height of ignorance. And there's a lot of ignorant people out there. And I believe that a lot of these people are operatives that are working against Ron Paul. I like Ron Paul, and I would support him. But I'd like to find somebody that is more grassroots.
Well, he's pretty grassroots. He's been a subscriber of mine for 10 years. We've spoken at some of the same events. His detractors will tell you that he's a Mason, but I know Masons that have been fighting for against the New World Order since all this started.
Oh, absolutely. I totally agree with you. I like Ron Paul for his stand on the Constitution more than anything. And love he is the heart of the anti-war party. That's Ron Paul, which is amazing. So
the control. After I saw what happened at Waco, and I'm sorry, but Waco was an attack on a Christian church that had been in existence for 50 years. There were no charges, no one ever arrested for child molestation, and they want you to believe that somehow the government was justified in killing 17 little children to save them from a child molester. It's one of the reasons. I did two things at that time. After that happened, I started the militias in New Mexico, and I started the Free American magazine.
Nice. Well, that's something we're working on, and it's actually putting out a magazine. But first, we want to get a documentary out, and then we'll work on the magazine. But doing all this is a lot of work, and as you can see, it takes a lot of effort. And I have to applaud you, Clayton, for doing this for so long. Pretty amazing, and pretty cool. Cool to know that you're out here with us on that side.
Well, I tell you what, it's getting tougher all the time. You know, my friend John Prockman, he started militia in Montana, and a few years back, after my accident, he just quit. And I said, John, you know, what are you doing? Why are you quitting this? He said, you know what, Clay? We've tried to tell them for years what FEMA was going to become, what NAFTA was going to become, what NAFTA and GATT was going to do to the country, what FEMA was going to become, what martial law was they were going to do. Nobody wanted to listen to us. Nobody wanted to support us. Nobody wanted to back us. You know, they bought into the propaganda. Oh, the militias are bad. Oh, you know, patriots are bad. They bought into that. So you know what, Clay? Fuck them. They're going to get the government they deserve. And I haven't been able to quite take that step, but I've been doing this for a long time, and I'm not getting the support that I once got, and everything that I've told people over the last 20 years is happening right now.
Yeah, you know, I've been doing this for about 15 years now, and, you know, I've seen it, it's like a roller coaster. Every time there's some big thing, you know, that people, it's like they rush in, and they want to find out what the anti-New World Order stuff's all about. And then after everything calms down, they just fade away again. And so, you know, you got to be in it for the long haul. And I believe, you know, this movement is only growing, as you've seen the Tea Party organization and the Occupy movement.
Now,
you know, the real true grassroots of the efforts are there. And I believe it's just, you know, we have to harness that power of the people. And once we do that, we figure out how to organize and work together. I think there's nothing's going to stop an idea.
that is the key thing, you know. I mean, I came up with answers. I've been reporting on the progress of the New World Order for 25 years. You know, I've told people they run the drugs into the country. CIA and the Mossad bring the drugs into this country. They control the drug cartels. The BATF was simply arming the CIA down in Mexico. And the Occupy movements, I want to get your opinion on the Occupy movements, because I think that I saw something similar to that happen in the 70s. We were having a pretty good time in the 60s, rather. We were smoking pot, we were demonstrating against the war, we were putting out underground newspapers, and we stopped an illegal, another war based on lies in Vietnam. But the Occupy movement, I think they're trying to set the police and really turn it into an us versus them. You know, the only thing the only thing I've seen come out of Occupy movement that stuck in my mind was some guy taking a shit on a police car.
Yeah.
And
I'll tell you.
That just lowers. Go ahead, please.
Well, the grassroots of the Occupy movement, that's what's important. The leadership of it, you know, it can be co-opted, but the grassroots, those are the real people that are on the ground. And, you know, there's some real good people out there, like Luke Radowski, you know, even David Icke has showed up to the Occupy movement. So the heart of the Occupy movement, I believe, is real, true patriots. But it's the leadership, just like the Tea Party leadership, you know, those people, they were co-opted. But they can't stop freedom and they can't stop liberty. And if we just keep coming, you know, we just have to be consistent. They're never going to stop this message of freedom and liberty, no matter how much they try to co-opt.
If you watch what they're doing now, you know, there's never been a time in history when it was easy to be free, you know. And so our founding fathers fought the whole New World Order of their day. The sun never sets over the English Empire. They don't have the power. They don't have the power they want you to believe they have, because it's they have the illusion of power, and otherwise we'd still be under the Roman Empire. Otherwise we'll still be under the Syrian Empire, the Egyptian Empire, the Greek Empire. You know, they come and go.
Absolutely. It's you know, this new world order, it's nothing more than the old monarchy trying to control the world. And obviously, you know, history repeats itself. These people just haven't learned their lesson. And I think it's time for another butt whooping again. You know, 1776 never ended. They think they can take over America and destroy it. They're wrong.
Well, they have, look at all the presidents they've killed. They tried to kill Jackson, they killed Lincoln, they killed Kennedy, they killed Garfield, they killed anybody that went against the banks. I've said that the war on terror is a war against anybody anywhere in the United States that wants to go against one world government of the bankers, by the bankers, and for the banksters.
Yeah, I mean, they can't kill everybody. I mean, they can try to kill us all, but...
Well, they wrote it in stone, Daniel. They wrote it in stone in Georgia that they wanted to eliminate 2/3 of the world's population, wanted it down to a manageable 500 million. I believe that would be 499 million slaves and 1 million elitists, maybe in the underground.
I've seen their wall. I've been there myself, so I know what you're talking about. They could write all they want in stone, but they're never going to kill us all, and they're never going to stop freedom. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be anti-Semitic, but I'm the only magazine that have put a picture and a story of 10,000 Jews marching in New York City protesting the Zionist state of Israel. That was the Orthodox Jews.
Cool. I like that. Excellent.
You know, we don't need to see what's the strategy behind. We're faced with tremendous psychological warfare. We're faced with that every day, folks. They don't call that television programming for nothing.
I love it, Clayton. You're right on there, buddy.
It is. Look, buy these drugs. Buy our drugs. Don't take that marijuana. Don't take that marijuana. No, but if you buy our drugs have the seal of approval from the federal government, from the FDA. So you buy our drugs, and well, you won't live too far past 65, but you'll be happy up until they take you out of the nursing home on the stretcher.
Yeah, you know, it's another term they call it neural linguistic programming, NLP, and you know, even you use it in churches. You know, these people are trained in this mass mind control. It's amazing.
And all the church, I mean, now, as far as I'm concerned, whatever the Constitution gives you the right to worship as you please. So if you're a Muslim, you want to stick your nose in the ground, your ass up in the air. I may even try to keep the St. Bernards away from you. But don't expect me to stick my nose in the dirt. And you want to go beat your head against that Wailing Wall? Knock yourself out. You know, just don't expect me to get a bump on my head. You know, ain't gonna do it.
Well, you know, I agree with you. You know, people. I have faith. You know, I do believe in a higher power. I believe in Jesus Christ. But I definitely don't believe in, you know, sticking your head in the ground and ignoring the reality of what's happening around us. Definitely not.
Jesus did a great job at trying to tell you what was going on. He warned you about the Jews and said they're Jews. He warned you about the mark of the beast. You know, he warned you about the thoughts of the priest that would come in his name. You know,
yes,
he sure did. He sure did. And I think, personally, Jesus told you, you can do what I do and more. And I think he was the first rebel that solved the problem we have today. How do you fight evil without becoming evil? Well, Jesus gives you a good example, and they kicked him all the way up to God because they didn't want men like you and me trying to emulate the kind of man he was. So they made him into God, out beyond your reach. I just don't believe that God, I believe we all have a direct link with God, and we don't really need those churches. Every time I walk out my door there, I'm in my church.
Well, you know, the word says that where 2 or 3 are gathered, I am among thee. So, you know, right now in this conversation, I believe that God is here with us. I also believe that no weapon formed against me shall prosper if I'm under the protection of the Lord. So, obviously, you're still here doing a fight and a good fight. God must have been protecting you all these years.
Well, there's certainly something, you know, how could somebody, on May 20th, 2004, after I made a phone call and gave away my location, somebody hit me, a woman with no driver's license in a borrowed car with no insurance, hit me hard enough to roll a Road King motorcycle over me sideways 3 times. And
Wow.
I don't have a broken leg. I had 3 broken ribs and a broken collarbone. They kept me drugged for 3 months for that. But as soon as I was off the drugs, I was up and walking and talking. I mean, how could somebody survive that without God looking after them, you know?
Absolutely, man. That's a great testimony, and I'm glad you shared it with me. You know, I'd love to share my testimony, but it would just take too long. If people want to contact me and, you know, have a personal conversation about that, I'd love it. So.
Well, you know, I've told people I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing if I didn't believe this is what God wanted me to do, you know. I have been put in situations, you know, everything I write about, I'm kind of like Ernest Hemingway, you know. Or, I'm sorry, Louis L'Amour. Louis L'Amour said, you know, if I tell you about a tree in the middle of the desert, I've been there. Well, when I write about something in my novels or in my books, I've been there. I've been to 49 states. I've been to 7 countries. I've been there, you know, and I've had the chance to meet all of these people, from Barry Seal, who flew the drugs into Bill Clinton, to George Stephanopoulos, who I gave a copy of Colonel Catolo's statement about George Bush being behind the drug smuggling. You know, how did I meet these people? I met Terry Reid, who was flying with Barry Seal when they delivered a kilo of cocaine to George and Jeb Bush there in Florida.
Yeah, really?
No, Alaska is the one state that I haven't been in.
I'd love to be there too. I've been all over the country. I just never been to Alaska yet.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know how how tire chains on a Harley will handle, you know.
Right. Yeah. Definitely.
But this now there's been a third party started. The Tax Party became the Constitution Party, and I met Chuck Baldwin, who ran for president of the Constitution Party. I don't think the Constitution Party has been quite as badly infiltrated as and controlled as the Republican Party. And then you've got the Libertarian Party. In my opinion, they just took the gun out of the holster and shot themselves in the foot by wanting to have open borders.
Yeah, that's just, you know, a Libertarian Party, you know, I know a lot of the guys in there in my city of Rochester. They don't want to hear anything about the New World Order, so I don't even bother to go to their meetings. You know, it's like talking to a wall sometimes, really. But I get a little short story about the Constitution Party. It was started by Howard Phillips.
Yes.
And back in the day, I used to date Howard Phillips' daughter, Alexandra, who's now a famous opera singer. Funny thing was, she never wanted me to meet her daddy because I was just a landscaping man. Or just a working man.
Poor Howard, you know, he was going to run for president a couple of times, but he has a fatal flaw. He foams at the mouth.